We bought 7 bucklings, Deborah, all from the same farm. They are all destined to be future lawnmowers. I didn't give them all 3 classes of dewormer because I figured one, they all came from the same farm and they were together, right? I thought surely that will knock their stress down enough. And I don't know more than the small ruminant consortium. But then I saw the tapeworms and I freaked out a little bit. So I've given everybody the safeguard and copper oxide particles. I just figured since they were all together from the same farm, they all know each other, they're all buddies. I just assumed that that would like help their stress not have a bloom. And the place that we got them from hasn't had to treat for worms in more than like 3 or 4 years, right? So they don't have any dewormer resistant. They're trying to do it as holistically and with as few inputs as possible. Personally, think I'm making a huge mistake here. I don't want to throw a bunch of dewormers at these baby goats if I don't have to and start walking down that path of dewormer resistance as soon as I bring them home. You know what I mean? But I also don't want to take a chance because they are an investment. I am looking at doing business with them at least as long as I can. So, do you think I really need to go give them all 3 dewormers?
If you are totally sure that the farm you got them from hasn't used any chemical dewormers in several years, then dewormer resistance is not a problem. The reason that they make that recommendation is because they're assuming that the goats you're bringing in are resistant to at least one class of dewormers because they've seen that so much, especially in the Southeast United States. I remember reading stuff like 10 years ago about how like they wanted to do a study and they had trouble finding farms that didn't have dewormer resistance. So that the recommendation comes from do the triple deworming because if the goats you're bringing in are resistant to 1 or even 2 classes by doing the triple deworming, you are increasing the worm kill. The cool thing about getting certified as a FAMACHA instructor is that I got access to like all their slides and stuff. And so there's a really cool chart in there where it shows you it's like they've got all 3 classes of dewormers, and it's like, if safeguard only kills 80% of the worms in a goat and ivermectin only kills 50% and levamisole only kills 90%, what's the total worm kill going to be? And because the worms that are resistant to safeguard, for example, are not going to be 100% the same worms that are resistant to ivermectin and vice versa. So it's like a Venn diagram, when you put them together. And the number that are resistant to all 3 is going to be super, super small. So when you use all 3, you're going to come close to getting 100% worm kill. But if these people have like not used safeguard in 3 or 4 years, then that alone is going to get you very close to 100% worm kill. I don't think it was you recently asked me when people buy kids from me if I tell them to do a deworming or if I deworm them before they leave. And I said, I don't because I know the worms on my farm are not resistant to any of the dewormers. And I know that I never have to treat any of my kids for worms. I don't even know the last time I treated a kid for worms. It was well over 10 years ago. I've only had 3 kids with coccidiosis in like more than 10 years and 0 with worms. Pretty much the only goats on my farm that get dewormed are does after kidding. Only
Hmm.
first fresheners. The senior does are good. And sometimes a buck. And pretty much it's always the bucks that I bought. The bucks that were born on my farm do much better because they just have really good genetics for parasite resistance.